Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. This is the Birds of a Feather podcast with your boy Q City.
Your boy Taj Bravado.
And this is episode 47, Coaching Staff Deep Dive. So today we've got the full list of coaches, the up-to-date list as much as we have. And we just about to just rapid fire kind of go in on these coaches, look up some history on them, think about how they may influence the draft and the personnel we already have. So come along with us, enjoy the ride. So, Taj, my man, if you go ahead and bring it up. And for our audio listeners, what Taj is bringing out is basically a spreadsheet of each of the coaches, name, playing or position, name, playing history, and then coaching history, like what they've done in the past. So, just a quick recap: we've already done the head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator. So we can run through those pretty quick. So our head coach, Raheem Morris, safety Willie Mary. He's been a head coach, a D coordinator, and he's had some offensive coaching. Yeah, and he's had some offensive coaching on the wide receiver side, right? Defensive coordinator, we have or offensive coordinator, we have Zach Robinson. Used to play quarterback. He's been a QB coach, a wide receiver coach, and pass game coordinator. And then defensive coordinator, we got Jimmy Lake. Used to play safety. He's been a head coach, a DC, a DB coach, and what's that last one? Safety coach.
Uh, yeah, your DBs and safeties.
Yeah. So those are the guys who went over last episode. Go ahead, tune in, hear back, and listen to us. Now we're going to deep dive into a lot of these assistant coaches, right, on both sides of the ball to really get an understanding of how Raheem has built out his coaching staff. So that first one, associate head coach slash defense. I really love that because that leads me to believe that Raheem is going to be focused more so on the team, CEO style. He might call the defense, but he's got one of his associate head coaches really focused on that side of the ball. Jerry Gray. What you think, man?
Yeah, I mean he's just retaining the same position from the last staff. It kind of just helps, I guess, bring a little continued success for defense. You know, what for me if it's overseeing it. So yeah, I like the retention of Jerry Gray.
And our defense was really our strong point last year. So keeping somebody around, I think, goes a long way into helping build player trust, but also helping them buy into the new system.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure how different this system's really gonna be. Like
Mm-hmm.
terminology might be different, but like as far as coverage shells go, like I don't really expect much different. I expect a lot of split safeties, cover four shells, mixing some man coverage. It probably won't be as much man as we were running last year, but um, it shouldn't be too much different. Because like
Now,
the where we are in the
okay.
NFL today, like whether you're running a 3-4 or 4-3, it doesn't really matter anymore because you just want to get your best four out there, whether it be a linebacker or a defensive end. It doesn't really matter ultimately.
Absolutely. So going on the offensive side of the ball, we've got a run game coordinator, right? O line coach Dwayne Ledford plays center. What's your thoughts on this one, bro? I do like the fact that the O line coach played on the O line, right? And he's a run game coordinator, so he can really help with the blocking schemes and whatnot. This seems like a pretty good hire.
Well, this was also a retention. It's a retention and a slight upgrade. He was just an online coach, but now um, with our offensive coordinator being so heavily involved with the pass, it's nice to have someone that has that experience in scheming up runs. So I expect the run game to be very similar. I expect the personnel and just the way they deploy certain things to be different. But like the run, I think they're still gonna do a wide zone, but um, the offense that Zach was part of in LA, they were running a lot of inside zone and gap. So
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're going to just mix in some things. Maybe make the run game a
Now
little bit
that
more
run scheme,
diverse.
that run scheme is very important in setting up the pass, right? So like one of the big things about this offense is that a lot of things look the same. So I think he's going to have to mold that run game into um, even though he may be, extremely talented being around Arthur Smith, if Arthur Smith ain't do nothing right, he was able to scheme up some runs. Even though you may want to be much more intricate in the run game, you do kind of have to mind meld to what the offensive coordinator does best in terms of making a lot of this stuff look the same so you can have a bunch of looks off that same look.
Yeah, yeah, that's ultimately what I expect. Everything's going to look the same, and it makes it that much more difficult. Um, you're going to see the receivers involved in the run game. I mean, they was involved last year, but I think they're going to be involved a little bit more because even the L.A. Cooper Cup was responsible for springing some pretty big runs.
Mm-hmm. And hey, that might mean Hodge is a little bit more on the field. Big body back there. He was very good run blocking. And then when we traded for from the Rams, what's his name?
Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson. He's very good at the run game as well. I remember when we traded for him, one of the things you said was he's one of the higher rated run blockers. You got to see that play out throughout the season. When he was on the field, there were open running lanes.
Yeah. The only thing is about the receivers, I don't know who's going to be back. The only receiver under contract is Drake London right now.
Yeah, yeah. I do think that that's going to be something that gets involved in free agency and the draft. But as of right
Yeah.
now, I'm just basing it off of last season. You guys,
Okay.
we will have our salary cap. We'll have our salary cap episode. That's going to come up in 2 weeks. And basically, what we'll go through there is just look at through the salary cap, who may be the cap casualties, and how that may influence the draft moving forward. And then we'll do another similar episode when we get close to Detroit.
Sounds
So,
like a plan.
moving to one of the, was it five or six quarterbacks? Five quarterbacks in the coaching staff. Um, Pass game specialist, Chandler Whitner. I'm not going to lie to you. Don't have a thought on
Strange
him.
name.
Yeah, I don't have a thought on him, but it looks like he was an offensive assistant and a pass game coordinator. Can't
I
can't go
think he
wrong with
was.
that.
I think he might have been offensive quality control.
OQC, yeah, offensive quality control. You're right there, and that's just a guy that more so hands tapes out. You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't mean he's not grinding film, but I don't think he had
Yeah.
a lot to say into. But hey, pass game specialist. I do feel like this offense will be it'll build off the run, but there's a lot of looks for uh, explosive pass plays. So he may be a name that gets involved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tim
Oh,
Barbaric,
Bourbonich. I think it's Bourbonich
yeah,
his name. Um.
pass game specialist slash game management. That sounds like a timeout coach.
Yeah. He also has a history with Raheem that dates back. So. Um. Yeah. Um. I think this is one of the familiar. For, it's someone he's familiar with. So. Um, yeah. I mean, I don't really know much about him, but I just know he has history. He's been in the league a little while, so
Now, one thing I will say, game management. One, it's good that you're going into it and not trying to hire one in season. I think that if you look at Sean McVay, where he came from, where he's been for the past couple of years, Sean McVay is terrible with timeouts. Absolutely dog
mhm.
shit with timeouts. And recognizing that may be a weakness ahead of time, I think is a strong thing because we us sitting at home, right? We're able to do basic math. And if it's 2:45 left and it's second down and they ran the ball, we'll be like, hey, call a timeout because you gained a timeout with the 2 minute warning. But like when you're in the game, it those lines get a little blurred. And so having someone on the outside looking in, I think that's what every time I've seen game management, it's usually like something as simple as like a timeout coach or a challenge coach. You know what I'm saying? Like they look to him for most of those.
Yeah, and that's an important role. Well, now I don't think you can overstate. So after
And I
that, we
think
get into.
I
Go
don't.
ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No. You
No,
got it.
go,
You got it.
no, no. I'm about to go. You was about to say?
No, I was saying. It looks like Raheem is learning one from his time in Tampa, but two also kind of hedging his bets and understanding that like I need as much support as I can have around me, and I think that's a sign of a good leader. Is understanding that I hire competent people and I put competent people in important spots so that we can all succeed.
Yeah,
That's a leader. You know what I'm saying? So I just didn't want to understate that. You know, a lot of people will see an inflated coaching staff and you don't know everybody's job like it's listed out here. But at the end of the day, understanding what these people do and why they're important, I think goes a long way into showing the person that's leading.
absolutely. So after 10, we get to quarterbacks coach T.J. Yates. He played quarterback. He was a passing game specialist, quarterback coach, wide receiver coach, and an offensive assistant. Um, he was part of the the offense where Deshaun Watson was cooking when he was actually last a quarterback coach. So if this makes sense, I don't understand why they had him at receiver coach last year. I mean, yeah, it just for the past 3 years it didn't make sense, but yeah, it's good to have him back in a room where he could probably offer better insight.
You remember where he went to school too?
Vaguely, no,
One of the top quarterbacks coming out of that school this year.
wait, Carolina.
Yeah, he went to
Oh,
UNC.
no, I just know he was our
Well, it
backup a
was
couple
because I
years.
yeah, he was a backup, but he's out of UNC. I wonder if that gives some unique insight into what who Drake May is, and if that prompts the team to make a move. Because you know, if a quarterback coach pounds the table for a guy, he can work with him. Granted, he hasn't been at
I mean,
UNC for years, but like you always have ties to your home school.
yeah, but I mean, when you got what 4 quarterbacks just on the offensive side of the ball that have played quarterback, like in the main offensive guys at quarterback, I don't really think TJ's going to have much say in that.
I will say, this prompts us. We're gonna take a little detour right here. This prompts me to believe that they won't fall into what we discussed when it was just Zach as the offensive coordinator. That Ritter would be back just kind of unilaterally. You know what I'm saying? Like you talked about, there's multiple quarterbacks on this staff, and granted, the head guy is yes, he's a quarterback, and if he falls in love with Ritter, let me just let y'all know, if the offensive coordinator falls in love with Ritter, Ritter will be back and have the inside track on starting. But
Well,
if you have other people who played the position who have voices in the room, I think that they can you can kind of look past the traits and get to the stuff of it of like, hey, can we upgrade the position?
so like one thing, because Zach Robinson he used to work for PFF, and they were
Mm-hmm.
just talking about, I think like a week ago or so, they were talking about like how he views talent and the type of quarterbacks he likes. He likes quarterbacks with loose arms and that are natural playmakers. Now, when you get to this draft, there are two people that stand out to me when you make that description. One of
Caleb.
them, Caleb, and the other one is Spencer Rattler. Um,
Yes, he had a really good senior bowl. He had a really good senior bowl. Good week of practice and a good game.
yeah, so Spencer, he's one of the most toolsy guys. It's just how he got
The
benched for
production does not
Caleb.
match the tools at all.
Uh, I mean, maybe not, but
No.
in some
Yeah, I was
ways,
about to say don't try to cape for that one.
no, I'm not
Like,
caping for him. I'm just saying that South Carolina is just like he didn't have a good O line. Like he wasn't able to really get things out on time. But one thing that I like about him, maybe over Caleb, is that he can play in structure a little bit better. He's maybe not as elusive as Caleb in the play after the play, but in terms of playing for structure and hitting things on time, Spencer has shown that on film more. Um, Obviously, Spencer's probably at best probably a second round pick, and he's someone that I really have
Yeah,
my eye
at
on
best,
because
at best.
I mean, yeah, but he's someone that I really have my eye on just because like when you have the type of tools he has, sometimes it's worth it to take that swing.
What is he? If I'm not mistaken, he's only 22, right?
No, no,
A little bit
he's
young,
like
22, 23.
no, he's like 23, 24. Because Caleb's only 22. Remember, he was a sophomore when Caleb took over.
Yeah, but he didn't have to wait a year.
No, he didn't. No, but he's like okay. If him and Caleb both come out at the same year, Caleb's only 22.
I mean, possible.
No,
He might be
he's old.
23 by then.
No, this is like his fourth or fifth year in college. Because he was a sophomore
Yeah,
when
I
Caleb.
know it's his fifth year.
Like
I
he's
know it's his
22,
fifth
about
year.
to be 24.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I don't know that. Oof.
most of the quarterbacks in this
Most of the
draft class
quarterbacks
are
are
old.
old.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
besides, with the exception of Caleb and Drake, everyone else in McCarthy, everyone else is about 23 or older.
Can I give you a side note real quick? A quick side note. This ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Just a quick side note, bro. I seen Spencer Michael Rattler, born September 28th, 2000. And my first thought was, oh, that nigga kind of old, bro. He was born 7 years after me, dog. It hurt my feelings a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. It hurt my feelings a little bit. I did it to myself, though.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, you getting old, man.
But anyway, back into what you were saying. Yes, a good bit of the draft prospects this year at quarterback are a little bit older.
And a lot of that's due to like the COVID years. People was using that
Mm-hmm.
extra eligibility. But yeah, but
I actually wonder how long until that COVID year works itself out of is it going to be 6 years? You think it's going to be
I think
2026
this,
before that COVID year?
I think we might be seeing the last of it. I honestly think so.
Well, if you were a freshman and came in for a COVID year, and then you got two red shirts here, two red shirts here, that'll put you at 2026, 27 season still playing.
I mean, yeah, but I don't. I mean, yeah, you could, but I think we probably getting close to seeing the end of it.
Yeah, it made the last couple drafts wonky, and what we've seen from the 2020 draft, it was a fugazi year. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just a lot of people that shouldn't have got drafted off of that year, and
Yeah, like
it,
that's
it
one of the main
made
reasons I'm not dinging Terry too much for the Mayfield pick because it was COVID year. Like,
yeah, it's very hard. And what the Big Ten they held off on playing that year, right? They only played 6 games.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, so
six or
it's
eight,
one of those
something like that.
things. Yeah, and that's hard. That's hard. You know what I'm saying? Especially if like you're high on a guy going into the year, and very limited tape against wild types of opponents who may or may not be playing their best player. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tough. The only guys I can think of that like sat out that year and then were just absolute bona fide superstars are Chase and Panay Sewell and Micah. Like everybody else is kind of like projections and whatnot, and it didn't always pan out.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, for the most part.
All right. So getting back to these coaches, tell me about our running backs coach, big dog.
Michael Petrie, he is another retention, and he will be staying in the same role as a running
Mm-hmm.
back coach. He did a good job with the running backs with Azier and Bijan. So I expect to see more of the same. Not too much to say on this one. But now we got a new coach with Ike Hilliard. He was a wide receiver for the Giants, so I like the fact that he actually played receiver. He was a co-offensive coordinator and a
Mm-hmm.
receiver coach. He was also a receiver coach for the Steelers, I think, 2 years ago in Auburn in 2022.
I think I remember him as a Giants receiver, but like
Yeah,
from Madden.
yeah. I mean, he was one. Yeah, he was on the Washington staff with Raheem too. What
Mm-hmm.
15 years ago or so.
That would have had to been as soon as like he was done playing. He's still relatively young.
And I'm not sure exactly how old he actually is. I know he like when we were playing, man. He was older.
I remember him. I don't remember him with the Bucks.
He's 40. He the same age as Raheem,
And
or
he
maybe a year
old as
younger.
hell.
He's
He's first round pick.
47. Yeah,
Why
he's
do I
got some.
remember him with the Giants and not
He
the
played for the Giants.
Bucks?
Well, I don't remember. He
He
probably
played
wasn't
from
playing much.
Giants.
He probably wasn't playing much during that time.
It seems he's stuck at position coach because everywhere he's gone, he's been a position coach for the most part. But wide receivers coach for the Washington Redskins from 14 to 19.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the wide receivers that came through there at that time, and then 2021 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not a bad run. That's
Yeah,
not a bad run.
because he was there
And
with
I'm calling them Washington Redskins because their name was the Redskins at the time.
you ain't
Yeah,
gotta
I
explain
understand
yourself.
their commanders now.
You ain't gotta explain yourself. No, well, yeah, because the 2020 and the 2021 year, that was the years he was able to get the best production out of Claypool,
Mm-hmm.
and Claypool's a free agent. I don't know if he'd be a culture fit, but that would be a name that could be a possibility. He's a great receiver that can stretch the field.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You don't bring him in here.
I'm just saying.
You know, nah. But that's not a bad fit. Um, Kevin Koger, tight ends coach.
Yeah, he came over from the Chargers. I don't really know much about him other than that. He was a receiver coach, tight end coach, special teams coordinator, and was quality control of offense.
I
So
don't like that because the tight ends of the Chargers have been underutilized. So
I
that's
mean,
not great.
but he's not calling the plays,
He's not. He's not.
and they also didn't have a Kyle
Um,
Pitts.
this is true. I think he would be under not a massive amount of scrutiny. Obviously, it's going to go to the offensive coordinator first. But I think if this offense starts to struggle through the year, especially with Kyle, that might be one of the things people start to look at. Assistant offensive line coach. So you got two. You got an O line coach. You got an assistant offensive line coach. I remember Nick Jones or Mac Jones. It's Nick Jones. Yeah, I remember Nick Jones. I feel like I do.
I do. Uh, yeah, I don't remember them.
Hold on. Who did he play for? Why do I remember you? Because I'm a junkie. I remember him on the Lions in '08 when they were trash. That's why I remember you. I remember Nick Jones, bro. Um, yeah, no, he didn't. He was pretty bad. Uh, but he hopped right into coaching. He's a graduate assistant in Georgia, Coastal Carolina tight ends coach, Air Force tight ends coach, got to be a teams coordinator and tight end coach, uh, offensive assistant, and now an assistant offensive line coach. This isn't bad, bro. He's got multiple levels in which he's helped. Um,
Mhm.
been a tight ends and tackles coach. So this seems like a pretty good developmental hire.
Yeah.
He's born in '85, so he's what
38.
40. He's not even 40 yet.
I think he's 38.
It's a pretty good hire right there.
Yeah. He's been around, so I mean, not a bad hire. Him and Ledford should be able to take the offensive line even up another notch because Ledford been doing a great job the past 3 years. So I'm interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what Nick Jones brings to that room.
All right. Senior offensive assistant and then offensive assistant QB, Ken Zampaza and KJ Black. You got anything on either one of those?
Um, I never heard of Ken before. KJ Black. I know he came over from the Ram staff. Um, where else? I know he did come over from the Ram staff. I think he pretty much had the same position. I'm guessing. He played a little bit of quarterback, but not too much. He's a relatively new coach from. Yeah, I think he's just started coaching in 2022. So he's only been coaching 2 years. Um,
But he is another quarterback on the roster.
yeah. Um,
Now, on to our defense. We talked about Jimmy Lake. This is the one that's interesting to me. We don't have a defensive pass coordinator right now. D line coach, Jay Rogers, former quarterback.
mm, so his history is interesting because he's coached. He came from the Chargers, so he was around Khalil Mack. I think he was with the Chargers. I want to say maybe the Bears and probably the Broncos. Let me fact check.
We don't want to be out here just giving y'all bullshit. You understand? We we have a level to keep up to.
Yeah, we got to make sure that y'all getting the facts. So yeah, he started coaching in 2021 from LSU as a graduate assistant. Went to Dodge City Community College in '03 as a passing game coordinator and quarterback coach. Missouri State '04 as a quarterback coach. Stephen F. Austin from '05 to '06 as a quarterback coach. Iowa State from '07 to '08 as a wide receiver coach. He went to the Broncos '09 to '10 as a coach's assistant. Then 11, he got bumped to defensive quality control. Then in 12 through 14, he was the D-line coach.
So he was with the Broncos. He was with the Broncos from 2011 to 2014.
From '09 to 2014.
But he wasn't there in 15 when he went to the Super Bowl.
No, the 15, he was with the Bears.
What happened to the Bears in 15? So one thing I try to do is kind of marry coaches to their successes. Right when I think of the Broncos during that time, the only player you can obviously think of is Von Miller, right? And like, not saying it's not hard to coach Von Miller, but like Von Miller's Von Miller, right? Um, the Broncos had that little moment with Tebow Mania where their defense was like just absolutely elite in all facets. You know what I'm saying? But he wasn't there in 15. He was there with Peyton for a little bit, but he wasn't there when they. So he's made some playoff runs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then he was in Chicago from 15 to 2020. He went to the Chargers in 21, and he was there from 21 to 23, and now he is with us. But the Chargers,
Okay, not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
He has been with some high. He's been with some high ranking pass rushers because just off that list, you're talking Von Miller, Khalil Mack again, Joey Bosa. Like he's had some dudes.
Yeah. But how much did he play a part in the development of those dudes?
Which is true. Right? Obviously, most of y'all know Zach Harrison has been tagged as like the breakout star for next year. Everybody's kind of already predicting that. How much is this D line coach helping his growth and development? I think that's a really good question there.
Yeah.
And has he ever dealt with somebody like this? Because when I think about all of those D lines, they're all 3-4s, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but some of them he was actually the D line coach. So like he would work like it was only in 21 where he was working with linebackers, with the outside linebackers. But he's been working with D line, so he's been working with the interior guys.
Okay. See how that spells for Grady. See if they're going to function the line. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Coming off an injury, it scares me with Grady if they move to a 3-4. I think he might be a cap casualty or trade bait, and I hate that.
I don't think so because the thing is, they're from the way this staff looks, there's nothing indicating whether we're going to be a 3-4 or 4-3. Yeah, the thing is, we ran
It
our first
doesn't.
because the thing is, last year we ran a 3-4. This year we ran a 4-3. Well, we didn't really run any true type of thing. We kind of just
We ran a hybrid scheme last year. Yeah, we ran a hybrid
so it's
scheme
like
last year.
I don't think whether it's 3-4 or 4-3. I don't think that's going to affect the guys that we have. If anything, if it's 4-3, it matters more for guys like D'Angelo Malone. It don't really matter for Grady or the interior guys because their
Yeah.
responsibilities won't change much.
You know how to say his name. I call him 17. I want to see him out there.
Oh, Arnold Abaketti?
Yeah. Yeah, 17. I want to see him out there. I want to see Zach Harrison out there. Um, Even though limited production, you know what I'm saying? He didn't have like off the wall production. Next week is the team honors, right? So we're gonna go offensive, defense, rookie of the year, all that good jazz, right? Um, but he had limited production last year, but I still think that he had and showed enough tools to be like the guy coming in the next season. Not unquestioned, but like you wouldn't be surprised if you looked up and he had 6.5 sacks next season.
Who are we talking about?
Zach Harrison.
Oh, maybe yeah. It just depends on.
No, 17. 17 might have double digit sacks next year.
It's possible. I look at him as his similar to being like an 8 to 10 sack guy. So I mean,
Yeah,
double digit
he's got to
sacks
he's
is
got to
a
get
possibility.
his snap percentage. His snap percentage has got to increase.
Well,
It's
that was
got to
just
increase though.
that was mostly just because Ryan Nielsen preferred bigger bodies on the edge, and Ebiketti's only like 6'3", 250. When you got people like Zach Harrison
Mm-hmm.
and Calais Campbell, who are mammoth human beings. So
I wouldn't call his first step elite, but he was able to get off the ball and cause havoc. He had a bunch of quarterback pressures. So
he's
I'm,
more of a
I'm just saying,
tactician.
yeah, he had a really good season. He had a really good season. Wasn't it 6.5 sacks
I
or
believe
was
so.
it 7?
I know he was tied.
Because I remember,
Him and Calais were tied, I believe.
yeah, yeah. So I think he can up his production to double digits. But just snap count, snap percentage, and then honestly, in this situation, what a D line coach likes. You know what I'm saying? What the defensive coordinator likes. If you're a guy who can rush the passer, get quarterback pressures, but you don't fit the mold that I want, you're not seeing the field. And like it sucks. It's not politicking or nothing like that. It's just like most coaches have a vision for what they want their team to look like. And even if you're a productive player, if you don't match the vision, like they're probably not going to keep you unless you're just like absolutely elite, right? Like I think back to Tennessee with Cortland Finnegan, right? At the time, they had Kiffin as a defensive coordinator who's always like longer, bigger corners, but Cortland Finnegan was Cortland Finnegan. He was just nasty. You know what I'm saying? So like you got to stay on the field. Clark
Yeah,
Phillips might go through that this year.
yeah, he very well might. But I mean, they're obviously going to address the cornerback position because Akuda's a free agent. I think only guys under contract are AJ Clark and maybe D. Alford. Um, yeah, I think those are the only guys under contract. So they're definitely going to have to add to that, and they're going to have to identify whether they deem Clark as the guy they want to start or not. I mean, they're probably going to bring in the best players they can, and then the best man will play opposite of AJ. If AJ's still here, because there is grumblings that in a potential trade, number one,
They
AJ
don't
could
want
be
to pay him.
involved.
Yeah, they don't want to pay him.
It's not that. It's just like if you can get the number one, it could be a trade kind of like what the Panthers did. Instead of DJ Moore, you give them AJ Terrell.
But here's the crazy part: they have Jalen Johnson, bro. You're not going to tie up that much capital in the cornerback position. And I get it that like you want defense or whatever. That's just that to me seems a little bit reckless. But on the same token, we've been saying this about Chicago's GM for a minute. You know what I'm saying? He is definitely. It just looks like he's in the mindset that his team is ready to contend right now
Yeah,
with the pieces that they have. They're missing a piece or two. and that's how he treats his draft picks. I don't necessarily agree with it, but because like, yeah, you got Carolina's pick, but your pick is number 9. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, we went into the last game of the season. Had you beat Green Bay, y'all would have finished with the same record, or within a game of each other, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Green Bay was in the second round of the playoffs. But with that being said, I don't think that you're a player or two away from, like, they played a fourth place schedule this year and only won 7 games.
I mean, yeah, but they also improved tenfold. They went from number 1 to number 9. Like they went from the number 1 pick being theirs to the now was the number 9 pick. They improved. They won 3 games. They improved 4 wins in the win column.
But that's not like, technically over the scan of the league, that's like 25%. Because there's 32 teams. So you moved 8 spots. Good or bad, that's a 25% increase. Not tenfold.
Pick box, but you still 10. You know what the hell I mean? Stop being so damn technical.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
No.
it's a
You know what the hell I
25%
mean?
increases.
25%.
It's not like
whatever. I'm exaggerating.
No, but I'm
Regardless of the
saying
point,
it's not like,
they improved. Like, the defense in last year was horrible. This year they had a very good defensive unit.
yeah, you went from 4 to 7. You losing your offensive coordinator, so Justin Fields is on a, if it's Justin
They
Fields, but
didn't
if
lose them;
not,
they
you're
fired
playing.
him, and they
Yeah, they
upgraded him.
fired.
They didn't lose them; they fired like because
They fired him.
because the thing is there was no buying with the players because from the interviews I've seen with the Bears, a lot of them kind of called out Luke Getsy, and now that's the Raiders' problem.
That is, I really wonder about Antonio Pierce filling out his staff just because of his 2 targets. He went for Cliff Kingsbury and now Luke Getsy. That seems problematic.
Well, Kingsbury would have been a good hire, but Dan Quinn
When has he
can't
been a
call.
coordinator in the league?
Maybe not a corner, but he called plays with Arizona.
Yeah, he called plays, but he's never been a coordinator.
That was coordinating.
No, I'm just saying, like, strictly a coordinator. You know what I'm saying? Like,
He hasn't
I
done it in the
actually,
league, but I mean he called plays as the head coach and put together some good offenses. So if you just say, hey, just focus on coordinating, I think you can get good production.
there's no Kyler Murray wearing silver and black.
But
Kyler bailed him out of a lot of situations, and
he's not
Kyler went on record and turned on
he's
him
not with the
about the
Raiders.
offense.
He's not with the Raiders, so it don't matter about silver and black. He's with the Commanders.
I'm saying, like, you chose him, knowing you don't have that on your roster. That
You
just
don't
now
need
to me, it seems like they're definitely going to skew toward like a scrambling type quarterback in the draft, just because of what it looks like his offensive hires have been, or what he's
you
looking to.
know he was on the USC staff just this year. There's a quarterback that's pretty good in the draft. He happens to be from that area too. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Caleb Williams.
I mean, didn't he have his most interceptions that he's had?
No, he only had 5. The touchdowns just went
All
down
right.
because the talent went down and the offensive line went down. But he was arguably more. He was actually more efficient this year. It's just the touchdowns were so crazy last year. People were like, oh, he fell off. He didn't fall off. The production was arguably the same. It's just the team wasn't as good.
I can take that. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is a bad coach is a step too far. I think is I think him coordinating this year in Washington will be a big tell on whether or not he's going to consistently stay a coordinator within the league, especially since they'll be getting a new quarterback, being able to mold.
Yeah. I mean, they're bringing him because he makes that transition easier for the young quarterback because he's very ingrained in the college style offense. The Commanders have weapons. You got a Terry
They
McLaurin.
do.
You got Terry McLaurin. You got Dotson. You have Curtis Samuels. You have De'Ami Brown. Like they have people to get. They just need someone that can get the ball to these people.
Hell, I mean, Eric Bieniemy's offense got the ball to people. It's just a lot of sacks and a lot of turnovers.
The turn, all the both of us were on the quarterback. The line wasn't that bad. Sam Howell just held onto the damn ball.
Yeah, he did. But I think that Bieniemy's concepts were a little. He's one of the coaches. We're getting way off the Falcon staff. He's one of the coaches that I feel, just like I feel like Lamar was trying to prove he could throw, I felt like Bieniemy was trying to prove he could have a sophisticated offense because he was calling like longer developing plays and muddy reads. And I think his coaching style caused a lot of those sacks to Sam Howell. Now, I'm not over here caping for Sam. I don't think he's a great quarterback. Out of 32 starters, he might be closer to 32 than he is to 15. I'm not taking that away. Or
Ain't
16.
no might.
I'm not taking that away. Yeah, I'm not taking that away. But I don't think he was as bad as he showed this year. You know what I'm saying? I think that offense was extremely complicated and led to a lot of over processing. Because like you're used to calling plays from Mahomes. Incredibly quick processor, gets out of trouble, like extremely dedicated.
Man, he
I
wasn't
think he was
calling
trying
no
to prove that
plays.
like he was helping build the game plan. With that being
Sure,
said, with
sure.
that being said, I think he overcompensated this year in Washington.
You had a fifth round pick as a quarterback.
I mean, the
He,
49ers are in the Super Bowl with a seventh round pick.
we're not doing that.
Saying
We're
like
not doing that. You know damn well we ain't doing
Dallas
that.
won Dallas won 12 games 3 years in a row with a fourth round pick.
We're not doing that. He ain't one of them.
The Viking, we over here on our
He
knees,
ain't.
mouth open, eyes
He
crossed
ain't.
for a fourth round pick.
He ain't one of them.
Just saying, because like
I'm just
everybody,
saying
everybody over
he ain't one
here
of them.
waiting,
Because the
everybody
thing
waiting for
is,
Daddy Kirk to come over here.
with Dak, Dak was good from the jump. He wasn't throwing those 18, 19 picks in the season.
But his offense didn't predicate that. He had Zeke. They kept him
It's
out of
no
harm's way.
longer.
Side note, side note, side note. All right, so conspiracy theory time. Here we go. Kellen Moore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, y'all can quote me on this one. I don't think Sirianni makes it to the end of the season, right? So Kellen Moore went from basically Dallas's coach in waiting, right, to 2 years in Dallas, being kind of 2 years in Dallas under McCarthy, incredibly contentious, getting kicked out. Dallas's offense got better. The Chargers' offense got decidedly worse, right? Now he goes to Philly. This is Jalen's third coordinator in as many years, right? I I don't think Jalen has a good season this year. Not I think the Eagles may have a good season. I don't think Jalen has a good season this year. I don't think Sirianni makes it to the end of the season, right? Or he's fired after a first round playoff loss. Kellen Moore will be coaching in college next year. Well, like the end of this season, the following year, he's coaching in college at a Power Five conference because his time to be an NFL head coach has passed him without going back to college. I'm calling my shot here.
He hadn't passed me. He's still young.
I mean, bro, these chances they come and go. They
He's
come
only
and go.
30. He's 35, bro. It ain't the
He's
opportunity ain't passed him yet.
he's gonna have to go back to college. I'm calling my shot. I'm calling my shot. I may
I
be
don't agree.
wrong, but I'm willing to stand on it. Willing to stand on it.
I don't agree with yeah.
All right, back to the Falcons. That's what y'all here for. Um, Inside linebackers coach Barrett Rudd, always been an
Yeah,
inside linebackers coach. It looks like.
I remember him because he played linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
I think he went to
And then in the
Nebraska.
secondary, we have Justin Hood.
Yeah, I mean, defensive pass game coordinator, DB coach, and defensive quality control. Um, The name sounds kind of familiar, but at the same time, I don't know.
I know Dave Huxtable is a holdover, right?
Yeah, he's another retention, same position.
And then senior, we got two defensive assistants, one for the front, could be, and then one for the secondary, John Timu and Lance Schulters.
Yeah, I don't know who Timo is, but Lance Schulters, I remember him from when he played. I think he played for the Titans. I think. Um, he played for the Niners, the Titans, the Dolphins. He played for the Falcons too.
Hmm.
Interesting. Played for the Dolphins, and he was on the Saints practice squad. Um, he's actually a returning coach because he was a defensive assistant for us in 2020. Then after that, he went to the Rams with Raheem as a defensive assistant. Now he's back with us as a defensive assistant.
So he's coached with Raheem for a majority of his career.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So no, it's good. It's good to get people that you work with. You know, they say coaching is a fraternity and it's full of nepotism. And guess what, guys? That's okay. That's okay. You get people you work with. You feel like they're talented. You feel like you're good. You bring them along with you. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much it is.
Our
You
special
look out for
team,
your homies.
yeah, the special teams coordinator. He's a holdover, right? But is the special teams assistant a holdover as well?
I do not recognize his name, so maybe not. I don't think he is though.
All right. So as we wrap up here, just shoot to me, bro. What's your closing thoughts about the coaching staff just in general?
Um, I mean, it's coaching staff. Are they good? I don't know yet. um, I'm optimistic. I'm curious about some of the hires, and I like some of the hires, but
So which
ultimately,
ones are you curious about?
I'm curious what the Zach Robinson offense is going to look like. I'm curious what the Jimmy Lane defense is going to look like. I'm curious um, what the pass game specialists are going to bring. I'm curious. I'm curious to see the next step of the receivers. Can Ike Hilliard get Drake to that next step? Can Kevin Kroger get Kyle Pitts back to 2021 Kyle Pitts? Um, I mean, but a lot of this really just depends on how Zach Robinson decides to utilize everyone. Now, Zach Robinson in LA, they use a lot of three wide receiver sets. I think they're going to probably use a lot of two receivers, two tight ends because Kyle Pitts, you can move him around the receiver, so he'll essentially be that third receiver on the field. And then maybe like if John Smith's not a cap counter, maybe they keep him as the tight end too.
That makes sense. But what are some that you really like that really stick out to you?
Um, I don't know. like, um, I mean, Zach Robinson's probably the most hyped because everyone wanted the piece of that Rams offense. They wanted the piece of that McVay. So he's the one I'm most hyped to see because I want to see how he can bring this offense together. He's the first
I
one
really
to
like
really
Yates
get from
back at quarterback coach.
I mean, I like that too. I mean, it makes sense. And the way this staff is presented offensively with the four quarterbacks, it looks like they're prepared to go with a young quarterback. I mean, there also could be too many cooks in the kitchen, but with four different quarterbacks, there's a lot of knowledge to lean on.
I agree there, 100%. So, you guys, that was our coaching staff deep dive. Appreciate you guys. Quick note. We're gonna get this out of the way. Steph went bananas, but Trey showed why he should have been an all star. That game was crazy. Really good to see the Hawks get back into it. Um, I think Trey gets in as an injury reserve, but either way, it was good to see him back out there, back balling. Hawks are on a 4 game win streak. I guess they knew we were about to be talking slander about them once the All Star break hits. So, you guys like, subscribe, share with anybody that you know that would like the pod. We are on all socials. It's on Spotify. If you're friends with Taj or I on any social, we share all this content a lot. Um, we're going to be putting out more and more stuff in the off season. We appreciate y'all. Keep coming back. This has been your boy Q City,
Your boy Taj Bravado.
and we out.
Peace.